Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving headfirst into a truly profound philosophical exploration today. We're going to be examining some fascinating source material that basically attempts to map out the very nature of the cosmos, the architecture of human consciousness, and the undeniable link between the two. You know, if you've ever looked up at the night sky and wondered about your place in the vastness of space, or maybe looked inward and wondered about the true depth of your own thoughts, well, the text we're analyzing today offers a very specific, spiritually grounded framework for understanding both.
So let's just jump right in by starting with what is arguably the ultimate human question. What happens to the mind when the body perishes? For literally millennia, humanity has wrestled with what happens after physical death. And our source material, it tackles this head-on. It establishes its foundational premise right from the prologue, asking us to just momentarily set aside purely physical, biological limits and really consider a completely different paradigm for human existence.
Okay, moving into Section 1, the immortal inner mind, beyond physical death. The text explicitly argues that human existence is absolutely not bound by biology alone. It posits that the mind actually survives the destruction of the physical body. So according to this philosophy, the mind isn't just some byproduct of brain chemistry, right? It's an enduring entity. Even after the physical vessel is completely gone, this inner mind continues to emit thoughts, it retains its unique memories, and it totally holds on to its distinct personality.
The original text actually challenges the conventional medical view right out of the gate to set up its cosmic premise. While modern medicine largely views the mind simply as a function of the brain, the text firmly counters this. It states that long-term spiritual research reveals a reality where the mind operates entirely independently of flesh and bone, which really sets the stage for a massive question. If the mind is immortal and boundless, where exactly does it reside, and what in the world is its relationship to the universe?
That brings us to Section 2, a water drop in the cosmos, the macrocosm.
Now, to transition from this invisible inner mind to the vast external universe, we first need to define a central theological concept from the text, and that is the primordial Buddha, or the foundational divine consciousness. The source explains that the physical, three-dimensional reality we experience every day, it isn't just a random accident. Instead, it was materialized, literally brought into physical form by the thoughts and intentions of this primordial consciousness. So the universe, in this view, is essentially a physical manifestation of a single divine thought.
And I think this brilliantly illustrates the contrast between looking at the universe through a physical telescope versus a spiritual lens. The text points out that, sure, modern astrophysics explains the origins of the universe through theories like the Big Bang and cosmic inflation, but it argues those scientific explanations really only capture a fraction of the truth. Astrophysics observes the mechanics, right? But this spiritual cosmology suggests that behind that Big Bang is an eternal, infinite, divine will that has existed forever, spanning boundless pasts and limitless futures. To help us wrap our heads around this massive scale, the text offers this striking, almost cinematic analogy. It says the three-dimensional universe is like a small water globe floating in a zero-gravity spaceship. Just imagine that for a second. Everything we know, literally, every galaxy, every star, every planet, is just a tiny, self-contained droplet of water suspended in a much vaster, unseen reality.
And inside that tiny cosmic water drop, the text describes us, humans, as invisible microorganisms. It's an incredibly humbling and honestly kind of funny perspective when you think about it. The author notes the irony that we microscopic beings often mistakenly believe we possess godlike intellect. We analyze the walls of our little water drop and think we've figured out the whole shebang, the entirety of existence. We observe our physical boundaries and completely forget the infinite space holding the drop itself.
Let's zoom back in for Section 3, exploring the inner universe, the microcosm.
But don't worry, the text doesn't leave us feeling totally insignificant. It pivots beautifully here, zooming all the way back into the human mind. The crucial point is that true exploration isn't just about building better telescopes to look outward. It's about looking infinitely inward. The text asserts that every single living being contains a universe within themselves. How? Well, because humans possess fragments of that original divine light. The deepest part of your mind is directly connected to the infinite macrocosm we were just talking about.
Moving on to Section 4, love and selflessness, methods of exploration.
So this brings up a highly practical question. How exactly do we explore this inner universe? The text doesn't just leave us with abstract theory. It provides a really actionable step-by-step framework. Step 1 is practicing the principle of love. Step 2 is practicing selflessness, which is rooted in the Buddhist concept of anatman, or non-attachment. And then step 3 is using these practices to ultimately enter the profound depths of the divine mind. It is super vital to understand that here, love is framed not merely as some fleeting emotion, but as a highly practical, active tool. The author explains that love is literally the mechanism by which we remove the artificial walls and barriers separating ourself from others. It's basically the first technique used to break down the ego.
The text commands, and I quote, "By the principle of love, let us transcend the barriers between self and others, becoming one with others." When applied to daily life, practicing this non-attachment to our own rigid ego completely transforms our worldview. By acting selflessly, we stop seeing ourselves in isolated competition with the world, and instead, we realize our interconnectedness. We pierce right through the illusion of separation.
Which leads us to Section 5, the highest happiness, attaining true enlightenment.
So what actually happens when those walls finally fall? This brings us to the real climax of the text's philosophical journey. The ultimate goal of all these practices is to attain true enlightenment. And the text describes this state not as some empty void, but as the highest, most profound happiness possible. It is an enduring, eternal joy found by seamlessly uniting your inner self with the boundless cosmos. The source emphasizes that compared to this deep cosmic unity, all worldly glory and temporary successes just completely fade away. And it all culminates in this incredible metaphysical paradox. You are the universe, and the universe is you. I mean, let the weight of that sink in for a moment. By looking deeply inward and dissolving the ego, you don't find nothingness, you find absolutely everything. The tiny microcosm of the human mind expands to seamlessly match the infinite macrocosm.
In fact, the text definitively erases the line between the internal mind and the external universe. It declares that at the moment of highest happiness, you and the universe are entirely one entity. It is the ultimate synthesis of the text message. It's the moment the tiny water drop realizes it is made of the exact same essence as the vast ocean outside of it.
We've journeyed from the survival of the individual mind out to the cosmic water drop, and then all the way back inward to discover a universe within ourselves. The source material presents a reality where true enlightenment is an inward journey of love and selflessness that ultimately unlocks the stars. So I will leave you with this. If an infinite universe truly resides entirely within your own mind, what will you choose to explore today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring.